Life is always ahead, exciting and full of adventure. What has been lives on in the memories of those with whom she shared her love, memories that make us laugh and cry, and sometimes make us angry. None can forget the life that has been lived, so we give thanks for the good times and remember what we learned together in the bad times. For every memory makes us what we are, all that we are. And now begins as yet another adventure into the hope that we have been given, God has given us. Not into darkness and loss, but into light and love. For life everlasting is love, and in it no darkness is found. Join me as I was, look forward to me as I will be, whole again in the presence of eternity. Jeanne Kaplan made for herself and those around her a full and exciting life. With those she loved, she laughed and cried, and sometimes made them angry. And now, dear Jeanne, it feels like we are left in darkness and loss, but there will be light and more love, for that is everlasting. And we are blessed. We are also blessed by the wholeness that you brought. For those of you whom I don't know, my name is Rabbi Sarah Gilbert. It is my sincere honor to be with you this morning to celebrate the blessing and express our gratitude, and surely to bring honor to a very special woman, a beloved wife, mother, grandmother, cousin, and dear friend, Jeanne Kaplan, also known by her Hebrew name, Moshe B'Shifra, on her next journey, her soul's journey toward union with the Holy One. Here today we will honor Jeanne, who shared her life with you and who passed from this earth early on Saturday morning, November 4th, Shabbat, the 20th day of the Hebrew month of Heshvan, in the year recognized on the Jewish calendar as 5784. It is for Jeanne's life that we are also thankful, and in her honor and memory that we have come to participate in this sacred task. We will do that according to our tradition with prayer, recitation of Holy Scripture, and sharing personal memories. We also hope that our gathering brings comfort to Steve, Jeanne's loving soul. Steve, your devotion to Jeanne brought her so much happiness and reassurance. All our sympathy to you. And deepest condolences to Leslie and your husband Joe, and to Michael and your wife Alex. Your extraordinary love for your mother will be everlasting. May you continue to know her presence, and may you find comfort in the sorrowful time. And how Jeanne celebrated her beautiful connection. Sammy and Sophie, Mars and Zed, you are the absolute stars in an enormous universe. Sammy, I know how grandmothers always love all of their grandchildren so much, equally, but you knew your grandma the longest, and I was told you were so cherished by her in an even more special way, and she by you. You paid her. You paid her the highest compliment. My Nama is the best Nama ever, you told us. We extend sympathy to all of Jeanne's cousins. I mentioned Barbara, who came from South Carolina, Jeanne, Paul's daughter, blessed memory, Paul. Jeanne traveled from Florida, and Paula, who is watching from New York. My condolences to all the special family members, all the family members and friends who are here and who have joined us virtually. So to honor Jeanne and to comfort those who mourn for her, we thank the Holy One and consecrate this time together in this sacred space. The wisdom of our tradition informs us that all life is fleeting, but deep and loving caring is forever. The Koltzaman, the April Prophets Takatashamayim, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to speak and a time to be silent, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to hurt and a time to be well, a time to grieve and a time to give comfort, a time to dance and a time to wail, a time for birthing and a time for dying. These words are ancient, bringing some consolation, and also recognizing the complexity of feelings that accompany a time of mourning. For we know how Jeanne cherished and celebrated all of her times, how she used her time to speak and to seek and to inspire and to comfort. We begin our service with the recitation of a psalm and then prayers, thus linking Jeanne's life with the 3,000-plus-year-old tradition of the people of Israel. May these ancient words of Psalm 23 bring us all comfort and assurance that we do not walk alone, but find strength and some peace in our traditions. Mismo Tatiana Marino Etsa, Binot Deshe, the Barcenia Lady for Nashi Shove, Nafini, Ma'abalate said, Ma'an Shana. My Creator, you tend to me, you allow me to repose in a green meadow and lead me to a quiet pool. You sustain me and guide me along the road, for that is your essence. Though I walk in the valley, you make me bold by guiding me always. Thus, you comfort me. You nourish me with assurance. You anoint me, and I drink from overflowing goodness. I know love and tenderness every day, and I will dwell like you eternally. The psalmist spoke of courage and reassurance, insight, all that our souls seek at this time, for we know how treasured the Spirit is. Each of us has emotion, love, fear, likes and dislikes. Each of us has thought, hope, memory. Each of us has a spirit that does not cease to be when our time our physical time on this earth has come to an end. And it is the spirit that we remember, that we hold, that we cherish of our loved ones. Rabbi Kaplan has so generously invited my participation today, and I and the Kaplan family are very appreciative. And it's my pleasure to call on Rabbi Kaplan to bring her reflection and a reading now. Good evening.
I want to begin by sharing my condolences with all of Jeanne's family and friends who loved her so much, and my gratitude to Rabbi Sarah Gilbert, who has known Jeanne for many, many years, and what a blessing that she's able to conduct this funeral today. So there's a poem that I always find meaningful to read and reflect on when I think about life and how we hold memory even after our loved one is gone. And I want to share that with you today. I personalized it as well for Jeanne. Invite you, as you're listening, to close your eyes if you like and just reflect on the spaces in which you will all have the opportunity to continue to remember and hold Jeanne forevermore. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember her. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. When we are effervescent and enthusiastic, we remember her. When we say something especially witty, something she might have said, we remember her. When we enjoy skiing in the beautiful Colorado mountains, we remember her. When we are tireless activists for causes she believed in and we believe in too, we remember her. When we wear the color red, we remember her. When we teach or learn something new, we remember her. When we passionately advocate for students and for teachers, for public education and for civil rights, we remember her. When we celebrate Thanksgiving, the 4th of July, Passover, and other holidays that Jeanne loved, we remember her. When we appreciate the talent of a wonderful pianist, we remember her. When we are good and loving and generous and kind with our family and with our friends, we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have joys that we yearn to share, we remember her. So long as we live, she too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her.
Thank you so much for your beautiful words. Thank you very much. Our tradition wisely informs us that to bring a chesed, a eulogy for a loved one during the funeral, is so helpful. This is an opportunity to bring tribute to our deceased. And it is also an opportunity for us to continue to learn from her life. Jeanne Kaplan, as she learned from her parents, was an educator. We, this morning, can continue to learn from Jeanne. And with your permission, I bring this respite now. On an autumn morning, I sat down on my front porch to think about the world, a worthy pastime. Near me, I saw a single cricket that was moving grains up the hillside this way and that way. How great was its energy, how humble its effort. Let us hope it will always be like this, each of us going in our inexplicable ways, building the universe. Jeanne Kaplan so filled the world in her own inexplicable way, with energy and determination and great wit and the color red and deep caring and a special warmth of dear, dear family and dear, dear friends. Jeanne built a universe of compassion and of action. We Jews call it tikkun olam, repair of the world. That was Jeanne's way, how she thought about her sacred work and her exuberant play, and how she blended all her aptitudes to create a rich and full life for those whom she loved. She treasured good ideas and good friends and good times. She thrived in engaging in possibility, envisioning what could be, and so nurturing and supporting the people in whom she believed to share her visions with them. Jeanne was always questioning, philosophizing, seeking a deeper meaning to her experience of living. Jeanne was Midwestern, but also urbane, East Coast and modern, and also loving the outdoors of Kaplan. Jeanne Slavin was born on September 2nd, 1945, in Youngstown, Ohio, the only child of Morris and Sophie. Both parents had immigrated from Ukraine as children, thank God, and they thrived in America, achieving college educations and becoming public school teachers. Surely this was the source of Jeanne's dedication to public education. Morris went on to achieve a PhD and become a college professor of French history. Sophie gave piano lessons and instilled a love of music in her daughter. Jeanne always played the piano, even teaching Sammy in recent years. Jeanne said that she had a wonderful childhood, spending lots of time with extended family, always having cousins to play with. Not surprising, Jeanne was an active social child. She joined lots of clubs in school. She sang in an a cappella choir. She also loved to watch sports. Of course, it was the Cleveland Indians that was her home team. Rocky Calavito was her key idol, I was told. I remember the name, but I had to Google him to see that Rocky was a very handsome right fielder in the 50s and 60s. But it was her parents' social activism that shaped their daughter's outlook and interests. Morris and Sophie supported the labor movement. Even into their later years, they worked on behalf of Soviet children. Jeanne was very proud of her parents, proud of her Youngstown background. After high school graduation and 2 years at Northwestern, Jeanne transferred to the University of Michigan and became so proud, fervently proud of the U of M, an avid fan of all University of Michigan sports teams. And we say, go blue. Jeanne majored in American Studies and landed a dream job in Washington, D.C. after college. She was a news editor at CBS, staffing the news desk during the Watergate inquiries, and covering the night of Gerald Ford's pardon of Richard Nixon. Some other of us were sitting home nursing babies at that time, not a little bit envious. to have learned about what Jeanne was doing. Long story, but it was on a blind date that Jeanne met my handsome Harvard law student. The two were together in Boston for a while, had a long-distance romance while Jeanne worked in Washington. But Jeanne and Steve Kaplan were married in October 1976 and chose to live in Colorado, where they had previously loved to come to ski. A year later, they bought their wonderful Denver Square on Marion Street, where so many of us were welcomed, and Jeanne became a pillar of the neighborhood and community. Leslie was born in 1980, Michael in 1982. I remember Jeanne feeling and looking about 10 months pregnant that year. Jeanne created a consultancy reporting and analyzed the election results for Channel 4. Many of us who were involved in the League of Women Voters at the time were Jeanne's precinct reporters. She was our boss. And advocating for her own children and for all kids at our diverse neighborhood school, Moore School, Jeanne developed her passion for excellence in public education, leading her first to be very active in PTA, and then run successfully and served 2 terms on the Denver Public Schools Board of Education. That was from 2005 to 2013. Jeanne was a determined advocate for children. We could even say a fighter for the best for all kids. She was a role model of service to community, for her children, for her friends. So it was usually by the beginning of December that we had to decide what to wear to Jeanne's and Steve's annual New Year's Eve party. Her parties were elegant, renowned in the city. She loved to entertain, probably preparing and cooking for weeks before. We could always be correct in sparkly black or silver, but a touch of red was important, noticed, and very fun. And it was significant that Jeanne's New Year's Eve parties ended at 10:30 p.m. For some reason, she did not want to go to midnight. So we would go home to our sleeping kids or on to another party sometimes. Jeanne's world included playgroups, neighbors, political causes, and central was family. The Kaplans traveled a great deal as family, and there were trips to the Caribbean, which Jeanne especially loved, as well as Europe. She really liked Paris also. Jeanne so enjoyed unwinding, watching football, especially the Broncos, together with family, and those were great memories. And when grandchildren came along, nurturing and playing with grandkids in the house was Jeanne's absolute favorite way to spend a day. Your mom, your not mom, your wife left you much too soon. I know how your hearts are broken and your eyes are filled with tears. These recent months were so hard beyond description as you were present to provide support and love for her. But we know that your soulmate, your mother, your grandmother, would want you only to remember her accomplishments, her energy, her awesome style, her joy of life, her courage, and her extraordinary strength. Most important, she would want all of us to think of how she loved you and how that love and inspiration will remain with you for the rest of your lives. But much more important than a rabbi's testament, than a eulogy from a rabbi today, are the memories and reflections of those who knew and loved Jeanne best. I'm very glad to be able to call on Leslie and Michael and Sammy, and then our colleague, DPS School Board member Scott Waldron, and then dear friend Myra Rich would like to share memories and reflections. I invite Leslie and Michael and Sam to come to our meeting now.
First of all, thank you all very much. From Malcolm and Daniel is obviously a very special person. Special thanks to those of you who came from out of town, from Pennsylvania, and celebrating. And thank you to everyone who's brought me that action over the past 3 days to help our family get organized with what that means in this context, especially the committee of hard work. So we really appreciate all of the efforts you guys have done in the past few weeks. So fairly or unfairly, you asked us to get up and talk about some of our weaknesses. It's only instructions, but we had to tell everyone everything we wanted you guys to know about our mom, but we had to do it in 5 minutes. So pretty easy. We really struggled with the past few days with how do you capture such a force? How do you capture how do you capture my mom, even some caricature of her in 5 minutes? And I'm just going to do this probably the lawyers are going to be around 2 hours. So how do you describe the person who made you, who she made us? How do you describe the person who was your #1 advocate over 40 years, including the troubling years in Bethesda? So we needed some framework. We couldn't just ramble on, but we had to try to come up with some framework. And Leslie and I both sort of independently came up with this one. So my mom, one of my mom's favorite shows was Friday Night. It's this show about a high school football team and the parables of education and football and all of these things. And in that show, there's this saying, clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. And I don't know why, but for some reason, it's sort of silly, but over the past few days, I keep coming back to this, in part because it's one of those shows that so this was a show, my mom had the season, or the series for my for 7 years, and for some reason it just resonated. And the reason is, she did everything with clear eyes. She always had a full heart, and she really hated things. This is sort of where we. So Nana did everything with clear eyes. And by that, I mean she needed evidence of what was going on. She was driven by a desire to empirically understand how or what was going on, what was the driving. As alluded to earlier, this led to her early work at CBS, which I think was driven in part by her desire to understand the nuance of the world around her, especially during the war. Later in life, she was obsessed with numbers around DPS's performance, bond funding, misuse of funds, and identifying trends in the data that she posted to her blogs. She would then obsessively check the readership on her blog If my dad sort of referred to the bad enthusiast, I would say enthusiast is not the actual word. When you see my dad later, you get the real description. However, as the child of someone who needed clear eyes, there were a few unintended consequences. As an elementary school kid or more, we would get sick sometimes. So we'd go into Nama's room and we'd say, Nama, where's sick? She would let us crawl into bed, turn on the Price is Right, and then she would come up with a tray that usually had toast and a cookie on it. And I couldn't figure out. So later in life, I asked her, why would you bring us a cookie? We were sick. And she would let me in on a secret. If we took the cookie, she knew we weren't sick. But Nama also operated with a full heart. She made her heart full by finding her forming community wherever she went, as evidenced by everybody in this year. She found a playgroup for us when we were in preschool, many of whom became best friends over the past 40 years. Later in life, she found friends in Patriots in around DPS, many of whom she would talk to non-stop for hours on end, which throws all a little nuts, but I'm glad that you guys all formed great friendships. Sometimes, though, Nama was a little too eager to form community. So as some of you may know, we had really dear neighbors who lived next to us, Nancy Barnes. But she sold her house, I don't know, 10 years ago. And my mom could not wait to see who was going to move in next door. This person was going to be central to her. So a young couple, Aaron and Ryan, moved in next door. And my mom saw them in the backyard. And she ran out and introduced herself. The thing is, my mom hadn't gotten arrested. Ran out with her loose nightgowns. And I just harassed them. I wasn't there, but I've heard this story told many times. Thankfully, Aaron and Ryan were very understanding and very, or seemingly excited to have the Nama and Dan probably loved each other. We filled each other's hearts. They had fun, they supported each other, and set an example of how to have a lasting, meaningful, and fulfilling relationship that we can only hope sets an example. As mentioned before, she loved Passover and Thanksgiving, and we decorate our house with literally hundreds of turkeys. So any of you coming to sit Shiva, just you get lost for the 10-foot inflatable turkey that is currently outside of our house. The Thanksgiving and Passover table will be so filled with guests from all parts of her life that we've had to extend the dining room into the living room. She cobbled together a puzzle of card tables to make sure that everybody can along. But perhaps more than anything, she loved her grandkids. She would set up egg hunts, she would play with them in the streams, she created traditions that helped instill empathy and kindness in them. I don't think her heart was ever in full when she was with her grandkids. And the last part of Clear Eyes Full Hearts is Nama could not be. She was competitive in everything. As Sam got older, they would play cards, and Nama would not let Sam win. Watching Broncos games or Michigan football with her, there were a few expletives that came out as things didn't go her way. She did not like to do any election, whether she was involved. And most of all, she really didn't know what this is. I just want you all to know how hard she really fought. She really, really fought to be here forever. There's so much more to say, and we struggle to find the words in the framework. Nama really loved Joe and Alex. I think she came to like me better than me. She loved sports. She loved the Cleveland Indians. She loved Rocky Colorado. She would stalk at a hotel in hopes of getting a autograph. She loved Broncos and Michigan football, and during the summer months, in the bowl runs of Rocky season, she would put on Super Bowl 50 or the more recent Michigan Ohio State games just to remind herself of what was coming. She loved music and piano. She loved her parents. She loved their values, and she was so proud to be their child. She loved being from Youngstown. She was truly a Youngstown kid. She loved yelling about DPS, yelling at DPS. She never gave up on people, but was always willing to have a conversation. She loved supporting what was right. She loved tchotchkes and the color red, black and white, and decorated every possible inch of her house with trinkets from trips or photos. She loved making photo albums and scrapbooks, documenting her childhood or her dreams. And did we mention she loved her grandkids? We learned something new in the funeral process too. Evidently, my mom loves skiing. Very well written, yes. She loved traveling to Europe and the Caribbean. She loved baguettes and every kind of bread that she could put her hands. She loved looking cute, and she loved dogs. No matter how much she loved any of us, she would always remind us of Brandeis, her first dog was really good. She loved laughing and having fun. She loved her family and friends, and she loved all. So leave you with this. People always ask when something like this happens, what can we do? How can we help? So we have an answer for you. I ask everyone here to heed the Hebrew idiom from generation to generation. When you see Sammy, Sophie, Morris, and Zeb, tell them what a special person their neighbor was. Tell them the big and the small. Tell them the ridiculous and the serious. Tell them about her nacho she made during Broncos games. Tell them how she loved all of you in the ways she showed the love. Tell them about her relentless pursuit of making DPS a better school district. Tell them how she loved the oldies and her favorite songs of love. Tell them how much she loved Thanksgiving and turkey decorations. Just so many things. I need you to help them in the picture. Because the memories get a little fuzzier, the burdens of pieces are formed. Because I really do need your help in telling them how special neighborhood is. But thank you all for coming. She loved you all, but most of all, she loved her grandkids.
Nina was the best. She told me stories and she played, and she was the best name I could ever ask for. I wish I could see her again. She was the kindest person ever, and I wish we still
Dear Leslie, Sammy, your words were so beautiful. Blessings for comfort to you. Scott.
Good morning. My name is Scott Miller, and I first met Jeanne in 2019. Jeanne dedicated nearly 30 years of her life to Denver Public Schools. She was involved as a mom at Leslie and Michael Schools. Then in 2005, she was elected to the Denver School Board. And in 2009, she was the last board member to be reelected without an opponent. But when she finished her second term in 2015, she felt unfulfilled and continued fighting for what she thought was right for DPS. She also maintained a blog through last year called Kaplan for the Kids, which was her campaign slogan nearly 20 years ago. She even built a friendship with the former U.S. Secretary of Education and author Jeanne, a fellow outspoken advocate for public education. Diane posted a fitting tribute to Jeanne yesterday, calling her a hero to public education. When I ran the school board in 2018, everyone told me not to waste my time. The queen of DPS, Jeanne Kaplan, did not support me. I remember scheduling a meeting with her and I was incredibly nervous. I prepared a bunch of questions because I wanted to impress her. But my nerves quickly disappeared once her fun, energetic, and feisty personality came through. I was immediately hooked by her passion and admired her commitment to DPS. Our originally scheduled 30-minute meeting lasted over 2 hours. Looked at Jeanne, I know that meeting would evolve into a lasting friendship. Over the next 4 years, we talked more days than not. And she would stay up late watching school board meetings and call me afterwards to debrief. Might have been one of them was spending hours, too many hours on that phone. But when school board politics knocked me down, she'd always get me back on my feet. She was like a second mom to me. Jeanne was also a very proud mom and grandma. If there was one thing that stood in the way of talking about the school board, it was watching her grandchildren. She loved Sammy, Sophie, Morris, and Zeb so much. Earlier this year, I was at Steve in Jeanne's house, and I thanked Steve for letting me spend so much time talking with Jeanne about the school board. And Steve jokingly replied, "Hey, no, thank you." Again, thank you, Steve, for letting me share so much time with you. I'll forever cherish these conversations. It makes my deepest good. There's one thing that gives me peace. It's that Jeanne would want us all to keep fighting for diverse kids. Those who texted with Jeanne know she would frequently end a text with the word onward. We must keep fighting onward at her age. I love you, Jeanne. We all love you. Thank you for your contributions to the kids of Denver, and thank you for leaving a lasting impact on our lives.
Scott, thank you so much for all you brought and all we learned from you today. Thank you. Myra. Like so many of you, I was one of Jeanne's longtime friends, not as long as some of you. We met when Leslie and our daughter Sarah were middle school classmates, and then reconnected with the Catholics returned from Washington. But I think the decades of our friendship could be measured in steps and miles, as well as years, because we walked when we were together. Sometimes we could only manage once a week, but we tried to walk even more often. In bad weather, we bundled up or retreated to Cherry Creek Mall. During the pandemic, we just put our masks on and continued walking. Jeanne always carried her phone, and I came to recognize the various ringtones she assigned to friends and family. I'm thinking the person with the Michigan fight song. And she would answer the inevitable, "Where are you?" question, but I'm walking with Myra. I didn't carry my phone, but at our house, when one or another child would call, my husband's answer would often be, "Mom's walking with Jeanne." While we walked, we talked about our growing up in immigrant Jewish families in the industrial Midwest, about the beauty of long marriages, about our children and then our grandchildren, endlessly as they came along. We discussed Seder menus, sermons delivered on the major holidays, and our concerns about the divisions within the Jewish community. We talked endlessly about politics, local, state, and national, and specific states. Ohio, where Jeanne grew up, Michigan, where I grew up. We were frustrated with Ohio turned red, and we were delighted as Michigan turned blue. But just as often, we talked about public education. During and even after Jeanne's years, when Jeanne was serving on the DPS board and I was still teaching at UCB. Jeanne's goal was equity and access to good education for all Denver children. She worried about the finances of DPS and gave me a comprehensive education on the problems of bonds and other aspects of school funding. Her continuing frustration with the board was evident every time we walked, but she persisted. She studied hard. She read everything the DPS administration, sometimes reluctantly, provided. She knew a lot about the freedom of information. She consulted experts to help her understand DPS finances, and she attended meeting after meeting, talked to teachers, principals, and parents. She wrote her blog. She treated her board service like a highly paid, highly responsible, full-time job. For her, it was just that, though without the pay. And she stayed involved, working on campaigns, meeting with groups supporting public education, and providing advice to UPS board members until just a couple of months ago. I'm happy to meet Scott. I have heard so much about him in the course of all the walks. What I realized, looking back at those years and all those miles, was that walking together lifted our spirits, let us both worry out loud and laugh at our many and various concerns about life and the state of the nation. We complained and we talked about how to fix whatever it was we were complaining about, whether it was a plumbing problem for the UCB history department or the Denver public schools. Jeanne was an expert fixer and a relentless doer. She didn't do anything halfway, whether it was hosting a Seder or working for a candidate or repairing something at Leslie's house or Michael's house, or helping me decipher the instructions to build an IT equipment for visiting grandchildren. She loved doing handy and her talent benefited everyone. She relished playing with the grandchildren. And to Leslie and Joe and Michael and Alex, you did so many things that made her happy and proud. But even if you had done none of those things, producing Sarah and Sophie and more. Jeanne embodied the meaning of true love in everything she did and everything she thought about. She was working to make the world a better place, starting with her own family and her friends and the children again.
Myra, thank you so much for the beautiful eulogy you brought. And Scott, and dear family, beautiful eulogies. It was beautiful as long as it lasted, the journey of my life. I have no regrets whatsoever, but the pain I'll leave behind. Those dear hearts who love and care, and the strings pulling at the heart and soul, the strong arms that held me up when my own strength let me down. Each morsel that I was fed with was full of love divine. At every turning of my life, I came across good friends who stood by me, even when the time raced by me. Farewell, my loving family, my friends. I smile and bid you goodbye. Shed no tears, for I need them not. All I need are your smiles. If you feel sad, do think of me, for that's what I'll like. When you live in the hearts of those you love, remember then, you never die. The words of the Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore. Yes, she who lives no more has become woven into what we are. They who do best homage to their deceased live their lives most fully, even in the shadow of loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one of us is the breath of the ultimate one. So we affirm the worth of the dear one whose life brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. There is an ancient traditional prayer that speaks of Jeanne's spirit. In it we voice our prayers that God will shelter her soul close to the divine presence. We express our hope that Jeanne will be at peace. I invite you, if you're comfortable doing so, to please rise with these ancient words. I'll chant in Hebrew, and then, of course, provide the translation. El Malekhanim, Sholchem Pamarim, Ansel Chalekla, Tachat Kanve Ashetina, V'Ma'alot Kedoshim Tovim, Zohar Rakia Mazirim, Et Nishmat Yehudit Bat Moshe B'Shifa, Shehalcha L'Olama, V'Gan Eden Tehilin Chanta. Ana Ba'arachamim, Asirecha, V'Seter, V'Nafecha, L'Olamim, V'Tzor Chaim, Et Nishmata, Adonai, V'Nalata, V'Tanua, V'Shalom, Al-Mishkava, V'Nomar, Amen. God, filled with mercy, thrown in at his heights, bring proper rest beneath the wings of your presence, amid the company of the holy and the pure, illuminating like the brilliance of the skies, to Yehudit Bat Moshe Shifa, Jeanne, and Kaplan, who has gone to her eternal place of rest. May you, who are the source of mercy, shelter her beneath your wings eternally, and bind her soul in life eternal, that she may rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated for a moment. See, in Torah this week, we read of the death of our matriarch Sarah, a strong woman like Jeanne was, like her husband Abraham who mourned, and for whom we have felt sympathy throughout the millennia. So we extend all our sympathy to you and bless you with comfort as you and Leslie and Michael walk the mourner's path. I think of the beautiful words of poet Marge Piercy. Look around us, search above us, below, behind. We stand in a great web of being joined together. Let us praise, let us love the life we are living, passing through us, those who have come before and those who will follow in the body of Israel and our own bodies. Time flows through us like water. The past and the deceased speak through us. We breathe out our blessings into the future. Blessed is the earth from which we grow, blessed the life we are led. Blessed the ones who teach us, blessed the ones we teach. Blessed is the word that cannot say the glory that shines through us and remains to shine, flowing past distant suns on the way to forever. And once more we all say, we've completed our service here at Road of Shalom. Again, I extend thanks to Rabbi Colbert, and I call on Jim Cohn, our funeral director, now for directions as we will move on to Emmanuel Cemetery for care.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our service here at Congregation Road of Shalom. We will have interment at Emmanuel Cemetery, which is within Fairmount, just a hop, skip, and a jump to the east of us here. In the handouts, there are directions how to get there, since we are not in an escorted procession. However, you can follow the hearse in the family's limousine if you would like, but just like we need to, you need to follow all traffic laws. So if we can ask you to please make your way as quickly as you can, so we can help the family take the process of this memorial. Ask you to remain in your places as we escort the family and casket out. Greatest request, if we can, ask you to refrain from coming forward and try to speak with the family. It will delay their process of getting to the cemetery. The foyer or the restroom, allow them to do what they need to do to get back to their family's car. I'd like to invite pallbearers forward at this time and ask everyone else to stand.
Champions of the world, the victors now.